Welcome to the Crypto Breakdown Kadena Whiteboard mini-series. In this mini-series, I'm going to help you understand every aspect about the Kadena blockchain from a first principles standpoint. In today's video, I'm going to explain why Kadena is the Amazon of crypto. But in case you're like me and you got an attention span of a goldfish, I'll sum it up for you. Kadena is the future of smart contract blockchains. Kadena is a multi-core layer 1 blockchain that currently has 20 Ethereum-like blockchains all braided together running side by side, with the ability to scale up to 10,000 blockchains or more. Just think about that. Ethereum, Polkadot, Cardano, Solana, Polygon, they only have one blockchain. I mean, even Avalanche knew that only one chain wouldn't be enough, and that's why Avalanche launched with 3 blockchains all connected together. And Avalanche gas fees still shot up to $10 as soon as the network got busy. As soon as blockchains get congested, gas prices rise. That's your first sign that they are hitting scaling limitations. These other layer 1 blockchains are like the eBay of crypto. People thought eBay was changing the world until Amazon popped up and showed everybody what changing the world really looks like. You see, these other blockchains will all hit scaling limitations no matter how hard they try, because they only have one chain. Now, I could spend the next 30 minutes explaining why sharding is an engineering nightmare, but just imagine taking a sheet of paper, sending it through a paper shredder, taking those pieces of paper, throwing them into a paper bag, shaking it up, and then trying to put all those pieces of paper back together again in less than 3 seconds. It's pretty crazy, right? So don't leave early. I'll break that down in layman terms at the end of the video. So for those of you who are still with me, let's dive deep. What is Amazon? That's a pretty hard question to answer, but I guess the best way to explain it would be saying that Amazon is the Walmart of the internet. But what makes Amazon so special? Great question. What makes Amazon so powerful is the fact that Amazon built this massive network of connected users by building platforms where anyone can launch their own business, product, or service. Amazon helps businesses make more money. Amazon helps people find anything they need in seconds, and that saves people massive amounts of time. Amazon aligns the incentives of millions of businesses with billions of users. If you don't understand what I mean when I say align incentives, you should pause this video, watch my Kadena Vortex video, and then come back. Links down in the description. Now, in order for me to explain why Kadena is the Amazon of blockchains, I first need you to understand how Amazon's business model works. So imagine if Amazon was just like a blockchain. Amazon is the layer 1. You see, Amazon is the network. Now, if we take a look at the second box on top of Amazon, think about this box as a layer 2 dApp on a blockchain. You can see businesses like Nike, Adidas, Lululemon, and Under Armour. Those are all individual businesses that are built and running on top of Amazon. I mean, just think about that for a minute. In 2019, Nike said that it would no longer sell its products directly for sale to Amazon.com. Ending a 2-year pilot program in a move that Nike says allows it to instead focus on strong, distinctive partnerships with retailers. How long do you think that lasted for? That didn't even last 12 months before Nike was back going balls deep on Amazon. Not only did Nike not succeed in taking their business off Amazon to open up more retail stores, but Nike has now started to close retail stores and started increasing inventory in Amazon warehouses. That's how powerful Amazon is. The largest retail brands in the world don't stand a chance against their competition if they don't make selling on Amazon a top priority. That's pretty baller if you ask me. Amazon is so good at what they do, and it's so much more profitable for businesses that they don't even mind paying Amazon a 15% commission every time one of their products sells. It's basic game theory. Who is Nike's competitor? Under Armour, Adidas, Lululemon. If your competition started using Amazon and their sales revenue increased by 50% and they lowered their overhead operations by 45%, well then your competition is now 95% more profitable than you. The business model is simple. Whoever can afford to spend the most to buy the customer wins at business every time. Meaning if you and I sell the same product, if I'm able to spend more money marketing so I can put my product in front of customers before you, well then, it's simple. I'm gonna sell more products than you. Why is that? Because 97% of sales come from page 1. That means if you can't afford to pay to put your product onto page 1 on Amazon, you don't stand a chance at out-marketing or outselling your competition. This is why marketing is so important. The Kadena blockchain will be the same way. Kadena is so much more advanced and superior to other blockchains. If you're not building on Kadena, your business will suffer. especially if your competition is building on Kadena and you are not. Now let's talk about Amazon's ability to scale. You see, Amazon's layer 1, if you will, can always scale and support more businesses. As more businesses build on top of Amazon, Amazon just expands and adds more warehouses. Think of this bottom layer like Amazon's warehouses. Each warehouse can only support so many businesses. Just like one of Kadena's blockchains can only support so many dApps. When Amazon warehouses start getting full, Amazon just adds another warehouse so they can support more businesses. On Kadena, when chains start to get filled with transactions from all of the dApps that are built on top of them, Kadena deploys more chains and expands their blockchain. Taking a look at the screen here, you can see the block on the screen. Picture this block like the layer 1 of Amazon. Every time any business builds on top of Amazon and sells an item, that transaction needs to get stored on the blockchain. Keep in mind, each block is limited by size, which means that if one transaction equals 1 megabyte and your block size is 100 megabytes, that means that your blockchain can only fit 100 transactions in every block. So if Amazon had Nike, Lululemon, Adidas, Under Armour all running on top of Amazon, and each business produced 25 transactions per second, it wouldn't be a problem because you would be able to fit every transaction into every block. 25 from Nike, 25 from Lulu, 25 from Adidas, and 25 from Under Armour. But what if another business came along and that business produced an extra 50 transactions? You see, Amazon would need to expand their layer 1 so they could support other businesses. And there are millions of businesses running on top of Amazon, all producing massive amounts of transactions every day. Amazon supports them all by adding more warehouses. Now let's take a look at the Kadena blockchain. You see, if Kadena is the layer 1, and then on top of Kadena, we have what are called layer 2 applications like CADX, Miners of Kadena, DocuShield, KittyCat NFTs, and Kish. These are all businesses that are running on top of Kadena. You see, what makes Kadena different is the fact that the Kadena blockchain is a multi-core blockchain, which means that Kadena doesn't just have one single chain. So picture that this box on the screen represents a block on the Kadena blockchain. Every time a new block is minted, the Kadena blockchain needs to settle every transaction that comes from any layer 2 application built on top of it. So every 30 seconds, the Kadena blockchain needs to be able to fit every transaction from every layer 2 dApp into this block. This is what makes Kadena 10,000 times more superior than anything else in the industry. Just like Amazon, Kadena always has the ability to deploy more chains. So if you're an NFT project that barely does 100 transactions per week, well, then you can pretty much launch your dApp on any chain. Or if you're a business that is going to produce massive amounts of transactions, well, then maybe you need to build on an empty chain, or better yet, build your application to run on every chain. Just like Amazon, you can customize your business to use whatever parts of Kadena you need to. What makes Amazon so powerful is the fact that it aligns incentives of every business that builds on top of Amazon. If your business is thriving and you're making bank running on Amazon, you're incentivized to want to see Amazon win. Kadena is the same way. If you are an NFT project built on Kadena, you want to see more NFT projects build because that is what's going to cause the network effect and help build massive liquidity. Let me explain. If you take a look at Pokemon and Roblox, they are both businesses and stores on Amazon. Someone might be looking for a Christmas present and swing over to the Pokemon store, but Pokemon cards are sold out. Chances are that same customer will just look for something similar and maybe they end up buying a Roblox action figure instead. This is the network effect you get from Amazon. Now let's really drive that one home. Let's say that you own the only burger joint in town. You technically have a monopoly on selling burgers. If somebody wants to go out to eat and get a burger, if you're the only burger joint within 30-mile radius, unless people want to cook it themselves, they don't have any other options but to go to your restaurant. That gives you a monopoly. If Joe Mama's burger joint came into town and they opened up a restaurant across the street, that would definitely hurt your business because you would have direct competition. Your company would now have to provide service at a higher level because if you don't, there's a chance that some of your customers might start eating somewhere else. But what if there were 4 burger joints in town, a hot dog stand, 2 Mexican restaurants, 2 Irish pubs, and 2 Italian restaurants, all in the same town? This is where you would begin to see the network effect take place. Now you'll start to see people driving from hours away just to eat at dinner establishments in your town. Just think to yourself, how many times you've asked your wife or girlfriend to go out to dinner, and when you asked them where they wanted to go, you just said, I don't know, let's just head downtown and we'll figure it out. You see, if there is just one business in a town and a second business comes into town, it could potentially hurt your business. But when multiple businesses open up in the same town, they start to attract customers and clients from outside your town. People might come to town for tacos and the taco shop might be closed, so out of sheer convenience, they swing over to your business and grab a burger. That's what Amazon does. They built the mall of the internet. It's your one-stop shop for everything that you need. This is why Amazon is crushing it. Now let's take that a step further. Retail business only makes up for 30% of Amazon's revenues. It's pretty crazy, right? Amazon doesn't just give you the ability to sell products on Amazon's marketplace, but they also offer services like AWS. We can think of AWS like Amazon's layer 1.5 or layer 2, depending on who you're asking. And trust me, these layer 0s, layer 1s, layer 2s are super confusing, but just remember they are made up names so people can help you understand the technology better. If I call Kadena layer 0 or I call Kadena layer 1, it's still the same tech, so don't let people try to convince you otherwise. AWS is Amazon's bread and butter. So in a nutshell, AWS provides cloud infrastructure to businesses. If you have a massive website like ESPN.com and you publish news articles every 5 minutes, that's a crap ton of data on your website, and you need somewhere to store all of that information. So instead of building a warehouse and building massive servers that store all that data and paying employees to manage the facility, you can lease all of that cloud infrastructure from Amazon and run your websites right on top of Amazon's AWS servers. Taking a look at Louis Vuitton, for example, Louis Vuitton might have a storefront on Amazon's marketplace where they sell products through Amazon, and they might also have their website running on Amazon servers. You see, Amazon has so many different ways that businesses can use their services, it's not even funny. And the key part is the fact that Amazon makes every business better, and it makes these businesses more efficient. The end result being businesses that use Amazon are much more profitable than businesses that do not use Amazon. And profits are the name of the game, boys and girls. Now, if we jump back over here and we look at Kadena, we can see that Kadena also has a layer 1.5 or a layer 2, if you will. It's called Kuro. Kuro is Kadena's private high-speed blockchain that is designed specifically to run in tandem with Kadena's layer 1. Because Kadena's layer 1 is proof of work, which means it only produces a block every 30 seconds, and you might need something a little faster. If your business needs it, it can use Kuro and take things to a whole nother level. Kuro can process 8,000 transactions per chain, and because it's a private layer 2 blockchain, businesses have the option to keep specific information private. And that's going to open up a whole world of possibilities for other blockchain applications. And that's pretty badass, but Kuro still is way above my head, so next time I get a chance to interview the Kadena team, I will have them break it down for us so I can make a whiteboard video and explain it for you guys. You see, businesses that build on top of Kadena are going to get the same network effect. You might swing over to CADEX to buy some coins of Lago, and you notice that miner Kadena just had a big dip, and you might end up buying some coins of MOK as well. You see, when the Kadena blockchain hits 50% capacity, the blockchain is designed to double in size. When Kadena launched, they launched with a 10-chain core. In October of 2020, they scaled from 10 chains to 20 chains. Just to prove that they could do it. The next scaling, the Kadena blockchain will scale up to 50 blockchains, then 100, and then 1,000. You see, blockchains are designed to scale vertically. That means that I can always build more on top of the layer 1. Take a look at DocuShield. DocuShield started out building a security infrastructure on Kadena, and in the process, their team built another application called Mintit. It's going to be the first turnkey NFT marketplace where anyone with zero coding experience can come over to Kadena and launch their own NFT collection. How cool would that be? How many of you watching this wanted to launch your own NFT collection and then you realized that you needed to learn how to code and said screw it? Or even worse, you wasted weeks trying to figure out how to code and you couldn't. When Mintit launches on Kadena, the only thing that you're going to need is the artwork. That's going to make Kadena the #1 ecosystem for NFTs. But that's not even close to the best part about Kadena's NFTs. If you get time, check out my Kadena NFTs will change the world video when you get a chance. Links are down in the description. You see, if Doc was built on Ethereum, there is no way they would be building another business on top of their original business because it would just be adding more transactions to the layer 1. That's why you see blockchains like Avalanche adding Subnets and Polygon adding Supernets. If you take a look at this diagram on the screen, if we consider this box to be Avalanche's layer 1, Subnets would be like a negative one. Yes, it helps make less transactions for the layer 1 by compressing multiple transactions into one transaction, but it doesn't give the layer 1 itself the ability to process more transactions. Subnets and Supernets sound like a lot of kittywampus shenanigans to me. If you feel the same way, smash that like button and smash that subscribe button. You see, blockchains are not designed to scale horizontally. Scaling means you have the ability to deploy more resources to fix the problem. Avalanche only has resources that allow its blockchain to process 4,500 TPS. If you don't understand why TPS means absolutely nothing, check out my What is Kadena whiteboard video. It'll change your entire outlook on TPS. On Kadena, if we say each individual blockchain can produce 20 transactions per second, and we have 20 blockchains, well, Kadena's TPS today would be 400 TPS. If the Kadena network needs to process more TPS, they just deploy more chains. When Kadena blockchain scales up to 50 blockchains, the Kadena blockchain can process 1,000 TPS. And then if you added Kuro on top of that, that's an extra 8,000 TPS per chain, which would put Kadena's total TPS above 50,000 TPS. Kadena also has another layer 1.5, if you will, and that's called Marmalade. Marmalade is Kadena's NFT standard. It is the same thing as Ethereum's ERC-721 non-fungible token standard, but on steroids. Every single issue with Ethereum NFTs, Kadena has fixed. Every awesome feature you wish Ethereum NFTs had, Kadena has added it. Things you thought were never possible with NFTs, Kadena is making the impossible possible. Don't believe me? Check out Nightbreakers on Twitter. On Kadena, you can program your NFTs to add and remove features based off the time of the day. Imagine a vampire game that during the day, your NFTs were normal humans with no superpowers, but at night, your NFT character changed into a vampire that unlocks superpowers. So, how long do you think it's going to be before Marvel is launching Kent Clark Superman NFTs or Peter Parker Spider-Man NFTs on Kadena? You see, applications like DocuShield might only need to use Kadena's layer 1, or maybe DocuShield needs to use Kuro and the layer 1. Or maybe DocuShield's second business, Minute, only needs to use Marmalade. That is the beauty of Kadena. It doesn't matter what needs your business has. If it's related to crypto and Web3, Kadena will have it all. This is why I say Kadena is the Amazon of crypto. We saw this same scenario play out to the T with other big layer 1 blockchains. Ethereum went from $130 to $4,400 in 600 days. Binance went from $23 to $688 in 510 days. Solana went from $3 to $210 in 250 days. And the craziest of them all was Polygon that went from 0.6 of a penny up to $2.68 in 475 days. That's 13,750% gains. A $5,000 investment into Polygon could have turned into $57 million. And that's what happens when your blockchain is so much more advanced than everything else in the industry. Once you start to understand blockchain, it's very easy to find correlations that took these other blockchains to these insane all-time highs. The network effect you get when you have hundreds or thousands of businesses built on top of a single blockchain is something that you very rarely find in the real world. This is why you see people like Jack Dorsey working so hard trying to build some type of Web 5 world on top of Bitcoin, which in my world doesn't make sense at all, because unless you're going to change Bitcoin's code, Bitcoin can only process 350,000 transactions per day, not TPS, per day. And to put that into context, Visa does that in 10 seconds. Put it this way, just imagine if on Amazon, every time you wanted to buy an item, you needed Amazon token to do it. I mean, think about that for a second. There are 66,000 orders placed every hour on Amazon. Amazon does $1.92 billion per day in sales revenue. Just think about how much demand there would be for Amazon token if everything you did on Amazon required you to use their coin. Think about how many transactions would come from people buying Amazon coin every time they needed to buy something on Amazon. Imagine if every business that used AWS had to pay their bill with Amazon coin. Imagine if Google had their own coin and every time a company wanted to run an ad, they had to pay for it with Google coin. Think about that. Just imagine when the deed to every house is an NFT on Kadena. Every time anybody buys or sells a house, that's more transactions on Kadena and more demand for Kadena. Hell, I mean, if by 2035, if all deeds to houses are stored as NFTs on the Kadena blockchain, maybe people start buying houses using Kadena just like they do with Bitcoin today. Imagine if every title to every car was an NFT on Kadena. Everything that you do on Kadena will require you to pay for it with KDA. It's freaking brilliant. Imagine when fashion designers like Louis Vuitton, Prada, or Gucci all use the Kadena blockchain to make NFTs, which make counterfeiting impossible. According to Inc.com, counterfeit goods cost the US $600 billion per year. I mean, that's pretty hard to wrap your head around, but just think about that for a second. On Kadena, the Kadena blockchain has what are called namespaces. It's almost like a certified badge on Twitter or a verified badge on a website. When brands like Louis Vuitton mint their own NFT marketplace on Kadena, they have the ability to get official namespace. That means that Louis Vuitton can create NFTs that people can mint anytime they buy an item. You could get a QR code with the item that you buy, you could then log into Louis V's website, and you could scan your QR code and mint an NFT that guarantees authenticity of the item. Inside the NFT metadata would be a serial number that matches the item you bought, and bam, Kadena just solved a $600 billion a year problem. That's going to align a lot of incentives, and it's also going to create an insane amount of transactions on the Kadena blockchain. Now, just imagine how many NFTs would be minted every day on the Kadena blockchain if every brand in the world was giving out an NFT with every item they sold. Now, obviously, this would only happen with higher value items where authenticity mattered, but still pretty cool to think about. So you really have to watch my Kadena Vortex video if you don't understand what I mean when I say align incentives. If a business like Gucci loses $1 billion a year from sales of counterfeit items, that means that they would be highly incentivized to integrate the Kadena blockchain into their business model. Take that a step farther. If Louis Vuitton is Gucci's biggest competitor and Gucci starts to use Kadena and that saves Gucci $1 billion a year, now Gucci can spend an extra $1 billion a year marketing and crush Louis V. This is what makes Kadena so powerful. The Kadena blockchain is going to help businesses save so much money, it's going to force companies to use it just like Amazon forces brands to sell their products on Amazon. It's really hard to imagine how something this powerful could fail. And that's how blockchains work. Now, Kadena gas fees are next to nothing, so we won't see that explosive bull run pump like we've seen with Ethereum because people won't be spending $1.3 billion a month in gas fees on Kadena. But by 2030, the sheer volume of transactions that will take place on the Kadena blockchain when there are over 1 billion different people using the network on a daily basis will create such a massive demand for Kadena, it's really even hard to put a price on it. 300 by 2024, 3,000 by 2030, 5,000 by 2040. Every new project that builds on Kadena will do their IDO in Kadena. Every time an NFT project launches on Kadena, you're going to be required to buy that project with KDA. Every time you pay to expedite a transaction, that's more demand for KDA. Every time a new project builds on Kadena, that's one more team of people who choose to align their incentives with the entire Kadena community. This is why it's so important once you become a Kadena hodler to play your part. Make sure you swing over to Twitter and you follow Kadena in all the Kadena pages on Twitter. And big shout out to the Kadena Project Network for keeping us updated. And big shout out to popular projects like Kadena Bulls, Equal Bet, Kadena Mining Club, Mintit, Alpha Slayers, Anadak, DocuShield, Easy Robots, Electron Labs, Full Spend Yacht Club, Future Proof Records, Hypercent Launchpad, InstaSwap, INU Crew, Jody INU, K-Mates, KDAOS, KDA Punks, KD Launch, KD Swap, Core Blockchain, CAD Cars, Blockchain Doug, Kadena Britain, Crank IO, Kadena US, Kadena New Zealand, Kadena Canada, Kadena California, Kadena Network, Kadena India, Kadena Detroit, Kadena Connecticut, and Kadena UAE, Kadena Seattle. And big shout out to my homie KDA Miner. He's pushing out a lot of great content on Kadena today. So make sure you guys swing over there and show them all some love. This is what helps grow the community, and even if it's just one more subscriber or one more follower, I know that they'll appreciate it as much as I do. Good vibes always, crypto fam.